I run a multi-million dollar online education business, or rather I own the business because it's my team who runs the business. I couldn't have this business without my team. I couldn't work only a couple of days a month inside the business without my team. It's my team that does all of it. I'm just the owner, but guess what? I'm a really bad manager and I don't enjoy managing. In fact, my team would probably say that they get on a lot better when I am out of the picture altogether. Now, you might think this is unusual, but actually most of my friends who run multi-million dollar businesses would also consider themselves bad managers. At the very least, they feel like they're not particularly suited to managing, and when they try to get involved, things just go a bit crazy. The reason is because these businesses don't have these key people sitting above them. This is what I've discovered businesses like mine and maybe yours need in order to operate properly. And I'm going to explain how that works in this video. Now, you as the founder, this is you right here. Let's not forget how we got into all of this in the first place. We had an idea or a vision of some kind, right? We either started a blog one day, which is what I did. Maybe we started a YouTube channel or a podcast, and fast forward 10, 15 years or so, and suddenly you find yourself at the helm of a big team, looking at spreadsheets, doing a bunch of things that you probably never really wanted to do because you were just the creative vision behind this in the first place. And so when we think about running a big business with team, we've got to remember what we are uniquely suited to. And for us, there are three things, well, there are lots of things, but there are three things that I think of that really you need to focus on because the entire business and your team relies on you doing these things. First of all is the vision. Where do you actually want to take the business in the long run? Because your team's not going to do that. They might have ideas, but the vision, what you want this thing to become, is uniquely yours. The creative direction. How do you want it to look? How do you want it to feel? What is the thing that you want to own, the thing that you think represents you? If this feels off, you're not going to like your business. And then lastly, it's the passion project, because we've all got them. We've all got these things that we want to be able to do, that we want to be doing, that we just don't. You think, like, what's the point of growing this big business and creating this cool life if I can't work on the things that I want to do? These are the things that we, as the founder and face of our business, can only uniquely do. Without these things, the business dies a long, slow death because the team ain't going to do this. They can, but it's not going to have anywhere near the same unique spark that you can bring to it. So these are the things that you like. Note that in here nowhere is managing a big team and looking at spreadsheets. And this is where the problem comes in, because we need to focus on these things. And to the extent that we need help personally in our businesses, if we have coaches, mentors, support of some kind, these are the things that we need that for. Now, what often happens is that as we grow and we start the business, we grow the business, we start to feel like we need to become managers of sorts. We need to feel like we are really good at leading a big team. But guess what? Leading a big team involves a very particular skill set and a very particular way of working. And that is usually antithetical to all of this. So on the other side here, we've got the team. It's your team right over here. And so you set the vision and you say, hey guys, this is the thing that we're going to be doing. And they're like, okay, cool. We need to do this now. And for the team to be able to execute on all of this stuff, what do they need? They need targets, they need HR, and they need KPIs. Because for a group of people to execute on a plan like this, it's not easy. It's really hard. It involves a lot of people working together, swimming in the same direction over a long period of time. And so where we get into trouble as founders, as visionary leaders, whatever you want to call it, creatives, whereas our natural zone of genius is thinking about the vision, the creative direction, the passion project, what we end up doing is we end up trying to hold our team accountable, being the manager and the leader of our team. And now we're focusing on things like targets and HR and KPIs. And this is where things start to go wrong, because in what world does your creative person who's looking after vision and passion projects, in what world do you think they are going to be good at the discipline of setting up spreadsheets and regular meetings, having to do the 9 a.m. Monday morning meeting in order to track all of these things? It doesn't work. It doesn't pass the sniff test on the face of it. And so when people like us start to get involved in managing and leading our own growing teams, there's a certain set of very predictable problems that start to arise. And these can cause all kinds of issues within the business, either like stagnating growth. It can cause frustration with people in the team. It can cause a general just feeling of things not really going the way that they should, and it's because we are trying to do these things. So There's a general lack of regularity because we don't like meetings in the calendar, right? We don't tend to hold people accountable very well because guess what? We don't want anyone holding us accountable. That's why we got into this in the first place. There's a general lack of discipline because, again, we are more on the creative side of the spectrum. It's not that we can't be disciplined, but we don't wake up in the morning thinking, right, how do I crack the whip and make things disciplined? I was talking with a friend the other day about this exact issue, and he said, yeah, I just find that in general, when I'm in charge, there's a bunch of bullshit decisions that just keep getting made because, again, as a consequence of this general lack of discipline. And then what you see over the longer term is a lot of flip-flopping from one direction to the next because we tend to be more drawn by our energy and our inspiration than by clear targets and goals. And so we're back in this situation where we want to focus on the creative side, the vision side, and that's what we are uniquely good at, remember. This is the one asset that's irreplaceable that no one else can bring to the business. But our team needs the rigor from these things. And so what happens is we end up with this growing chasm between us where the team, are looking to us for this accountability and for this direction, and we are looking for them to kind of execute it, but neither of us kind of really want to get involved with the other. Now, theoretically, there would be a role up here, which is the integrator role using the EOS methodology. And the integrator role says that, okay, here you have your C-suite, so you have your head of finance, operations, marketing, running the day-to-day at the business, having accountability. And then above them, then you have the integrator role. You could call this the head of operations or COO, who is the person who in theory should be holding the rest of the team accountable to all of these targets. The problem is, and this is where you can get into trouble a little bit with kind of scaling methodology and startup culture and all of this, this is the kind of org chart that you expect from a $10 million plus business that is growing and scaling, where you need to put this team infrastructure in place in order to sustain growth. And this is where you can get into trouble from following scaling methodology, startup methodology a little bit too closely, because whereas in a $10 million plus scaling fast growth company, you would expect to have this role here because the business is going to keep scaling, keep growing. You know that you need more and more people to grow. And so the integrator role makes perfect sense. It's a good move. But for most of us who have, profitable 7-figure creative businesses, our businesses are not infinitely scalable. We don't need such big infrastructure, and we don't want such big infrastructure because A, we don't need it, and B, it makes the economics of the business rather undesirable. And so whereas the size of the business kind of needs this integrator figure, we don't have it and we don't want it. And so what ends up happening usually is that there's someone on the team, let's call this John, and we say to John, okay, John, you're going to fill in this role. You're going to hold everyone accountable. And so you've now got John here, who is not a professional manager. I mean, John's fantastic. He's great, but he's not a professional career manager type person. And now he's in charge of holding the entire team accountable to targets, KPIs and things like that. And then we kind of say, right, that's fine. So now John, you're in charge. We can step back, and we kind of set that up and then muddle along. That's what happens most of the time. And I think that probably is the best, most rational setup for a decent sized online business. But one of the consequences here is that A, John is not a professional manager, and B, we kind of know that and feel that. So we end up getting involved. And then this is where things start to get muddled. And so this brings us right back to the top with these 2 extra characters up here who are needed in order to make this work properly and allow us to be able to do our best visionary creative work. It sounds so pretentious, but this is the reality of what we do. So first of all, our team does not need us. Right? They need us to set the vision, yes, but they don't need us and they don't want us to be in the regular Monday morning meeting because we don't have the discipline, we don't hold people accountable, etc., etc. And so what this person needs, what this team needs, and specifically what John needs, is what you would call an executive coach. And an executive coach is specialized in meeting with leadership teams in order to set targets, establish KPIs, resolve issues, unblock problems, and actually keep moving people forward towards their goals. This is not a business mentor. It's also not a business coach. It's someone who is specifically trained and very good at working with leadership teams. This person is also not what you need as the founder. Now, I've been through phases of me as the founder actually hiring executive coaches, and it's the wrong move because what the executive coach is good at is getting the best out of leadership teams, this regularity or the regular cadence of meeting and work that's needed. What you as a visionary founder needs is a whole different type of person altogether. And we could call this the mentor. And the mentor is the person who understands how you work as the founder, that helps you understand what it is that you want yourself from your life. It helps you understand what direction you want to take the business. It helps you look at the business in the round, at the financials, at the products, at the general evolution of the business, and understand, really just connect the dots on an energetic level and understand what it is that you want out of your life. Now, equally, the mentor here is not what the leadership team needs, because when the leadership team listens to the mentor side, they just get confused because they just want your team here. They need predictability, they need consistency, they need clarity. They don't want mentors over here talking about feelings and things like that. But that's precisely what we need. Because if we don't have this person to talk to about the direction we're taking our business in, this is when we start meddling over here in the leadership team, and we start causing problems because we get involved, we introduce new ideas, passion projects, everything starts flip-flopping. And so this right here is what I think is the ideal setup for founder and leadership teams to get the best out of each other, but also get the best out of themselves with the minimum of fuss and the maximum clarity, accountability, and direction. And when you get this stuff wrong, this is when you start to dislike your business. And to understand exactly why that happens, you should watch this video over here, which will reveal exactly why it is that you can build a successful business and end up growing to hate it.